Joining us now to talk more about the power issue in Nigeria is the former Minister of Power, Professor Bath Naji, who joins us via telephone from Enugu. Professor, thank you so much for speaking with us on Network Africa.
Thank you.
Now, why is power supply still an issue in Nigeria till date?
Well, I think we expect that power supply will grow quickly. But it doesn't really happen like that because there is a gestation period from power development to the time when the construction is done and then distribution. But also, you know that the reason why we spent time trying to reform the sector was because we wanted to ensure that the sector was really being run freely in the hands of the private people. And what the country must, the government must do is to ensure that that is actually so. The privatization of generation assets so that there can be increase in power coming from the power plants. New power plants need to be built. And one of the things people don't actually know is that in as much as the government supplied, provided power from their power plants, it was only about 2,000, basically less than 3,000 megawatts coming from the government power plants. The rest came from the international oil companies and then the private sector. What we wanted to see happen is that there will be absolute support for private companies to build new power plants, and that has to be done. What was initiated was somewhere anybody or any state or any company that can build power should be allowed to do it. But that's something that is not quite happening in that way yet. Distribution, there needed to be investment in distribution. I mean, really a lot of money to be invested in distribution to improve the network and ensure that power that is dispatched will actually get to the customer. And it required that the people who monitor the new distribution companies that they actually hold them to their pledges during the time of purchase. These are things that we expect should happen to improve power supply in Nigeria and rapidly.
Oh, basically, I think you've just covered both the issue as well as the way we can address the challenge. But any extra tips here on how we can make power supply an issue of the past?
Absolutely. Number one is supply. And supply requires the entire food chain. We need to be able to have gas supply. The country needs to invest in gas supply, which means that those who are producing gas need to be supported to produce gas, and that the infrastructure to supply the gas to the various power plants needs to be there. And very critically, that those who want to build power plants are not being, that the people who are giving licenses or supporting building of power plants not stand in their way. And that's how it's done everywhere in the world. And we need to have freedom to build a power project, power plants in Nigeria. Then the transmission network needs to be strengthened. And really, it requires focus on the government because at this point, that's the only major aspect of power for which the government is responsible for. And the government needs to invest and ensure that there is a stable transmission network. And finally, this distribution assets, there needs to be rigorous monitoring of the distribution companies so that they will be able to perform. So those are the key things that need to be in place. And of course, those who are coming to invest in Nigeria, that the agreements made by government need to be held to sanctity. That is a very critical element, because when people come to invest and they are not sure that the investment will be preserved, they would be stepping back.
Professor Barton Naji, former Minister of Power, thank you so much for speaking with us on Network Africa. We really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now to the Central African Republic. The past several years of sectarian violence following a 2013 coup have left the country's agricultural sector devastated. Agriculture once made up 54% of the GDP, but since the onset of the crisis, food production has plummeted and food prices in the market have skyrocketed, compromising the sustainability of agriculture and foreshadowing a deeper food crisis. The Voice of America's Emily Yob was in the capital, Bangui, a few days ago, but joins us now from Johannesburg via Skype. Emily, thank you so much for speaking with us on the program. I'm sure you can hear me. I'd like to start by asking you if what we're really seeing in the Central African Republic is a crisis, a food crisis. Well, we apologize. We seem to be having some audio issues with Emily, but we will reconnect with her. But for now, we're looking at security matters, and something very significant happened last night in Niger as regards the fight against the Boko Haram sect. Security sources in the country have confirmed that a suspected local leader of the Islamist group was arrested and several weapons, including rocket launchers, seized from his home in the town of Difa in southern Niger. The town of the Nigerian border, on the Nigerian border, has come under attack from the militants this past week, since Chad deployed hundreds of troops to the area as part of a regional effort to tackle Boko Haram. The man was identified as Kaka Bonu, a trader known to authorities for suspected involvement in trafficking stolen goods. The investigation into the new lead is still ongoing, and we'll keep you posted as regards developments. Now, a series of attacks have taken place yet again by suspected Boko Haram militants, and it's an offensive against countries involved in collaborative efforts to counter the terrorists. One attack was carried out overnight in Chad, which is the first of such an assault on Chadian soil. Officials said the fighters crossed Lake Chad by motorboat and attacked a village on the shores of the lake. In nearby Niger, authorities also confirmed thousands of civilians fled their homes in the southeastern Niger town of Difa this week, following waves of cross-border raids and suicide bombings by the sect. However, Niger's military also confirmed that its forces successfully killed 260 Boko Haram militants and had arrested others in fighting since February the 6th. We'll take a break now on Network Africa. When we come back, it's good news concerning the Al Jazeera journalists. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We've been able to reestablish connection with Emily Yob, who was in the Central African Republic capital, that's Bangui, a few days ago, but is now in Johannesburg and joins us via Skype. Emily, thank you for staying on the line. I was asking if we're really looking at an almost inevitable food crisis in the Central African Republic. And again, it seems as though we've lost Emily, but today is Friday the 13th, a day renowned for bad luck in the Western society. But there's certainly no bad luck for Al Jazeera journalists Mohamed Fahmy and Baher Mohammed, who've left prison following their release on bail. They spent more than a year behind bars, and on Thursday, a court ordered their release pending a retrial this month. They are accused of spreading false information, helping the banned Muslim Brotherhood. Their release comes almost 2 weeks after that of Australian Peter Grester, the third journalist in the case that has attracted international criticism. Mr. Grester was deported to Australia following his release. Mr. Fahmy, who was ordered to pay over $30,000 in bail, is Egyptian-born but also holds a Canadian passport. Mr. Mohammed, who is Egyptian and has no dual nationality, and Mr. Fahmy now have to report to the police daily until their retrial is due to resume on the 23rd of February. That's this month. Well, that's certainly a lovely way to end the week. And that's it on Network Africa. Many thanks for watching. I'm Cynthia.